And welcome back. Well, Israel is under siege now like never before. But the good news is there is a way that you can help. The Emergency Volunteers Project, or EVP, is dedicated to recruiting and training people and communities from around the world who will come to Israel to serve as emergency first responders. Here with us now to tell us more about the group is EVP spokesman Eitan Charnoff. Eitan, welcome.
Thanks
Great
for
to have
having
you
me
here,
on.
my friend, all the way from Israel, but you're a U.S. native.
Yeah, from the D.C. area, in fact.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, at least for a short time.
Thank you.
So look, why EVP? Why does Israel need emergency first responders from other countries to help out? What's going on?
Right. So basically, the number one essential of every emergency disaster plan is you need to bring in outside resources. Israel tragically doesn't have any deals with other countries surrounding it to kind of bring in resources from their neighbors. As a result, we don't really have a contingency plan.
And you have a small population.
Tiny population, 7 million people, a state the size of New Jersey. Most of them are called up into reserve duty to serve in the army in a time of crisis, even further depleting our emergency resources. As a result, dear friends of mine after the Second Lebanese War in 2006, guys who served for days on end in northern Israel responding to literally thousands of rocket attacks, got together and realized, you know, we got to take this upon ourselves to find a solution. And their solution is the Emergency Volunteers Program.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many situations, even obviously wartime situations like the Gaza War, the Lebanon War of 2006 that you mentioned. But even when there was a massive forest fire in northern Israel a few years ago, Israel's got a small population. You guys are spread thin, so many threats on so many different fronts that it's just a massive manpower shortage.
Right. I mean, you're certainly right. And with the example you brought up of the fire, it's a great one. We had to bring people in from all over the world. We actually had EVP volunteers ready, their flights booked, ready to go from the United States, and at the last minute, the fire was got under control because of overhead aircraft brought in, huge tankers.
I mean, I think this is great for people to know at home. I mean, you're talking to a mainly American audience here, and a lot of people who love and support Israel watching this show, and you can help. You can get to Israel. You can be a part of this. You can help Israel, help the Jewish people. Now, you're targeting mainly, I would think, first responders here, maybe people who are already experienced, firemen, policemen, et cetera, here in the U.S., or can anyone do this?
So it's actually, we're looking for anybody. We're looking for two main types of volunteers: professional rescue workers, seasoned firefighters, seasoned paramedics, nurses, and doctors, and everyday people with the heart to help the Jewish people in the land of Israel. And we're looking for anybody. Most of our volunteers are Christian. 80% are Christian Americans who believe in the importance of protecting the Jewish people in Israel. These regular everyday Americans, we have 500 already trained, can undergo trainings either in the U.S. or in Israel, where we certify them as first responders to resupply emergency shelters in a time of crisis, to evacuate Israeli civilians, provide initial medical treatment.
So they'll be training with Israelis in Israel.
Yes.
Another perk, I have to say, to signing up, in addition to helping Israel. So what has been your reception here in the States? I know you're kind of touring now. You're back here in the States, and you're kind of touring and getting the word out about EVP. How's the reception been?
Incredible. I mean, I've been back and forth between the States and Israel a lot in order to recruit and spread the word, and it's remarkable, the positive feedback that we get from nearly everybody. I mean, for firefighters, this is a dream come true, to come and train in Israel with the best first responders in the world. For the everyday American to come help our closest ally, the state of Israel, in a time of crisis and learn valuable disaster skills that they can apply in their own communities here, is an amazing opportunity that everybody seems to want to be part of.
Yeah, and it's going to be, obviously, look, I've talked about on this show, Eitan, there's unfortunately probably a good chance that war will be coming to the Middle East once again, courtesy of Israel's neighbors, not of Israel. But there's going to be even more of a need, I would think, in the coming months and years.
I mean, as the situation in Syria specifically deteriorates and there's more of a concern that their chemical weapons could fall into terrorist hands, we absolutely need EVP to be ready. Our goal by the end of 2013 is to recruit from 500, the number we have now, to get to 3,000 trained volunteers.
And you want to have chapters across the United States,
too,
right?
we do. We have chapters in Texas, Florida, New York, and D.C. And we're looking for anybody who's interested in helping us build new chapters all across the U.S.
Right. Well, Eitan, what is your website? How can we find out more about the Emergency Volunteers Project?
evp.org.il.
Well, Eitan, thank you so much for what you're doing, for what EVP is doing. And I have to say, if you want to help Israel, a lot of times we feel helpless here in the States. Israel's over there, we're here, we love Israel, but what can we do? This is a way you can help out. So check it out, evp.org.il. Thank you, my friend, and Israelis like you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Eitan.
Thanks.
Stay tuned, much more coming up.